Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We've got a packed show today. Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
What is up? Welcome to Undisputed Live from Los Angeles. I'm Holly Saunders. Skip, Shannon, and Joy are off, so I'm joined by the replacements here. But we're some good ones. Greg Jennings, Chris Broussard, and Rob Parker. Good morning, guys. Are you getting used to the schedule yet? I know you're not.
I know, hey, it was a tough night, but made it through. I'm surprised these two guys showed up after the beating they took yesterday.
Oh, stop.
Wow.
I knew me and you would be here, Holly. I wasn't sure which guy was going to drop off. But
Beating. Okay.
What time did you fall asleep?
That's one that feels that way.
how about 7:30? In my clothes, never got into bed last night.
You slept in your clothes
Yes,
on top of your blanket.
On top of the blanket. That's how tired I was.
Wow. I didn't go that far. I was in bed by 8:30 though.
Yeah, 7.
Up at 2.
We're some very exciting people
I was on the
here.
elevator this morning like, y'all do this every morning?
Every day, right?
Chris.
Up at 2 a.m.
All right, well, Willie McGinnis and Kenyon Martin will also join us in the studio. They're getting up pretty early, but first, LaVar Ball is at it again, guys, and he is something else. LaVar has said all along that he wants all three of his sons to play for the Lakers. Well, Lonzo's already in L.A., while his brothers LiAngelo and LaMelo are over in Lithuania. Now LaVar said his sons are a package deal for an NBA team when Lonzo's deal with the Lakers is done. LaVar said, I want all three of my boys to play for the Lakers, but if that does not happen, I'm telling you, the story of what's going to happen first. If they don't take Jello this year, I bring back Jello here to play with Melo for 2 years. Lonzo will be on his third year, and I want to let every NBA team know that Lonzo is not going to re-sign with the Lakers, but will go to any team that will take all of my three boys. That's my plan. What's better than three ball boys together? The big three, the original big three. My God. All right, dude. Chris, is it finally time for Lonzo to push back against his father?
No question.
Right.
Absolutely. Definitive. I can't think of enough words to say this. Look, Lonzo should have pushed back after the comments about Luke Walton losing the team, if not earlier. Because this, of all the things LaVar Ball has said, he said some silly things, he said some crazy things. This may be the most ridiculous thing and the most damaging thing that he has said, because he is on the verge of getting Lonzo Ball traded. It's not going to be your choice to leave the Lakers. They may send you away. First of all, the timing is horrible. The Lakers are playing the best ball of their season while Lonzo is out with injury. They're 8-5. Oh, and by the way, his replacement at point guard, Brandon Ingram, is killing it. Now, people told me beginning of the season in the Lakers organization that Luke really likes Brandon at point. He wasn't saying instead of Lonzo, but he was just saying he really could play the point guard, Luke believes. Now they've put him at point guard. He's averaging 20 points, 6 assists, 56% shooting, and 67% shooting from three. Okay, so that is just all wrong. Then you got this. The Lakers, we know, who do they want this summer? LeBron James. This is a deterrent. LaVar's shenanigans are a deterrent to LeBron James going to the Lakers. I'm not saying Lonzo has to be traded for LeBron to go there, but LaVar does need to zip his lip for LeBron to go there. LeBron does not want to go join a circus, and that is what this is. It's getting to a point where Lonzo Ball is going to have to be a tremendous player. Not to stay with the Lakers, but to stay in the league. It's a simple thing of, does your ability and what you bring on the court outweigh the distraction? And if Lonzo turns out to be just a solid NBA starter, then most teams aren't going to want him because dad is too much of a distraction. And so you can debate whether or not LaVar has already ruined the careers of his younger boys or their chances to get to the NBA. But he is now getting very close to ruining the career of Lonzo. So, yeah, we could say more later about this, but Lonzo needs to step up and quiet his dad down.
Chris,
Pronto.
here's the problem. Lonzo is not that guy. LaVar has been a dominating dad. You could just see it. Lonzo won't step to him. Lonzo could be 50 years old and his dad would still run the conversation and dictate the family. That's just the guy he is. So if I'm Magic Johnson, I'm Rob Pelinka, I already know what I want to do. I'm going to make a move, not pushing them towards a trade. I would trade. His play isn't worth it. Not this, because you just said it. This organization, with all the championships, all the being a storied franchise, all that, they're going to have a problem attracting free agents. They had it with Kobe at the end of his career. They had cap space. Yep. Nobody would come. Dwight Howard left $30 million on the table not to be a part of the Lakers. And now you got this. LeBron's not coming here for this, not in his final 3 or 4 years where he's trying to win a championship. And LaVar, I think, in this situation, gets worse if Lonzo plays better. If he's talking like this and the kid's shooting 36%, which is the worst of all rookies in the NBA, you won't be able to stop this guy if the kid's decent. You know what I mean?
That's right.
He's going to be out there and more. And this whole notion like a threat. Oh, he's telling the Lakers already? If I'm Magic Johnson, oh, you're threatening that he's not going to resign? This kid's not even playing. He's busy making mixtapes.
Right.
I mean, are you serious?
He's leveraging his own son.
Right. And the other part from Magic's legacy and him and even Rob Pelinka, dude, you got to nip this in the bud. You're setting a precedent where other fathers coming along the road will say, how do I get attention? How do I build a brand? How do I, you know what? I'm outlandish. I say crazy stuff. I push the envelope. And you know what? I'm going to get attention. Yeah. I'm going to be able to do what LaVar did. And I think at some point, because it's got to be the Lakers taking the lead, waiting for a 20-year-old whose dad has dominated his entire life, be it good, bad, or indifferent, is never going to change. I never see Lonzo Ball stepping to his dad and saying, Dad, be quiet. It's my life, my career, and I don't want to hear from you. Because he could have done that when he destroyed Luke Walton and said the players didn't want to play for him. You know what his response was? Well, I'll play for anybody. That's not what I wanted to hear. Yeah. I wanted to hear Luke Walton is a great coach. I love what he's doing. And my dad is dead wrong. The players haven't quit. That's not what he said. So I'm telling you, if you're Magic, Rob Pelinka, you guys need to really think about it if you're serious about rebuilding this franchise and trying to win a championship.
I agree. But here's a problem. Like, Lonzo should have some pushback. But Lonzo Ball has not been in control of his own life since he was born, apparently. Like, LaVar has controlled everything from the jump. We see it with his two younger brothers. And more than...
You're in Lithuania.
More than Lonzo, he's impacting these two young men, their career, their education, and their chances of even being entertained by the NBA. Like, bottom line, he's so turbulent to where you know what the Lakers are dealing with. What other team, what other franchise wants to deal with that? And they're not as glorified as the LA Lakers. But if the Lakers are trying to attract offseason acquisitions a la Paul George, LeBron James, these caliber guys, they're not going to be willing to put up with all the antics that are not even in the locker room. When you have to deal with outside distractions, LaVar being that, and as turbulent as he is, that's not attractive to guys who are proven, who have won. LeBron James, they're not about trying to babysit. They're trying to play ball and win games. Another note, when I look at what LaVar Ball is doing, you say other dads potentially will start to do this. He will be a trend. I don't think other dads will be able to do this because he is so almost dominating when it comes to his personality. When you look at the personality of Magic, very passive, very likable guy. He's not the one that's going to put the hammer down. I just don't see Magic doing it. So LaVar is going to continue to press the envelope because he's not getting any pushback. Luke Walton, he's not going to give any pushback. His son, Lonzo, he's not going to give any pushback. So until somebody does it, he's going to continue to do it. And I don't think other dads will be as aggressive. They may try, but when you look at the the backlash and the blowback that he will get or sons will get, it's not really worth it.
But I'm looking at it from this standpoint. Just the Facebook deal he got. I don't know. They said $15 million that they signed for that. If I'm a dad and I'm like, well,
exactly.
I can work my own thing and make a distraction, make noise, and the dads that they pay attention to are the ones who make noise. He's been the one who's been able to do it.
And some dads would say, okay, he turned down the money from Adidas, but that was $10 million. You know, you could get that money too. So yeah, we all know, whether you watch Little League or you coach Little League or high school, there are parents like this. There might be few and far between, but there are guys like this. Magic, even though he's nice and personable, he will put the hammer down behind closed doors, or if he gets pushed enough, he'll put it down. My thing with Magic is the only leverage he has is trading. He doesn't want to get in a public back and forth with LaVar.
No,
that's
the last thing he wants to do.
It's a bad look.
One of two things has to happen. They either have to, he either has to meet with LaVar and say, I'm trading Lonzo, or I will trade him if you don't be quiet, or just trade him. Or Lonzo. I think Lonzo is the only guy.
He has to be.
He's the only guy that can shut his dad down. And look, don't step to him like, Dad, cool, I don't want to hear it from you. Don't step to him with your chest out. Step to him as a son. Dad, come on, I love playing for the Lakers. This has been my dream my whole life. You know, I mean, just please cool out. As I had a very authoritative father. He wasn't LaVar Ball. He was very authoritative. But at a certain point, you have to become a man. And my dad, I've never asked him about where I should go work. Should I leave this job? Should I take this assignment? I have to be my own man. LaVar is not teaching Lonzo how to be his own man. Right now, Lonzo's 20. Lonzo's making the millions. He's the one that should,
He's got a baby on the way. He's
Exactly.
gonna be a father.
And you talking about 3 years from now, you're going to tell him to leave. Man, please. And so Lonzo, look, the final thing, Lonzo needs to step up because the players are looking at you. Men are not going to follow you if they see you as a daddy's boy.
So one thing I was thinking of, maybe becoming a father changes that, Rob. You think so, maybe?
Possibly, but he's so domineering. And the other thing, when people asked him the last time about some of the comments about Luke Walton, his response was, he's a grown man. I can't tell him what to say. So right there tells me that he's not in position or not grown enough or feel grown enough, maybe with the birth of a child or something, or really when he feels like, my career's in jeopardy here. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe he has to be pushed to where he really understands that this could all end and no one would want to deal with this. And I know people are going to say, oh, what's the big deal? Just play basketball. It's bigger. And I think what you brought up about teammates is really, and Greg, you can speak to this. If I'm in that locker room, I don't know if I really want to confide and talk to you and open up to you and be, right? Because I don't know if that's going to go to your ears, to your dad.
You probably assume it will.
Right?
Absolutely.
You would assume it will.
And then all of a sudden, your dad's attacking me at some point.
Right,
over
it's on
something I
Instagram
said.
all of a sudden.
Right.
You make a great point. The point about the teammate, the team camaraderie, the team building relationships. When you have success, it's not just on the field. You have relationships that you develop off of the field. What I see with Lonzo Ball, he has a very close relationship with his siblings and his dad. But his siblings specifically, when you listen to his mixtapes, they're back and forth, they're banter, they challenge one another, they get on one another, but they hang out. They're boys, they're brothers, so they will stay together. When you're in a locker room, that's what you become. You become family. You become boys. You tell each other the things that you wouldn't tell anybody else, or you wouldn't really say to the coach, or you wouldn't say to management. But to your point, if Lonzo is so in with his dad, who's to say that he won't tell his dad? His dad will then use that against them.
Right.
So it's like you can't trust a guy like that when you have him in his locker room. Not because it's directly him, but it's because of who he's associated with.
Sure.
And so guilty by association.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened more than in sports. In life, Lonzo has to nip it. To your point, he has to be the one to do it. I don't think, even if Magic says something, I still think that LaVar will continue to do what he does. The only person that can put a muzzle, some sort of muzzle on his father is Lonzo Ball.
Well, he is hurting. I do think that LaVar, with all his bluster, may have gotten Lonzo drafted by the Lakers. Like, if he was just
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, if he was a normal dad and we didn't know anything about him, the Lakers may have taken De'Aaron Fox. They might not have felt the pressure because there was so much buildup and hype now that you have to take Lonzo.
And
He's
especially
a local kid
who played at UCLA. If they pass, say, Magic, here's his first big draft, he passes and he became a star, Magic would get killed, right? Local kid in the backyard. What? How could you not scout him? How come you didn't know? So they were almost forced into taking him. And then the buildup from the dad, I agree.
But see, now he's hurting. To this point, he's hurting Lonzo's career. Number one, we saw how Lonzo was under far more scrutiny than any other rookie. Like, even early in the season when he wasn't playing that well, he wasn't playing as badly as a lot of rookies. You weren't hearing about Josh Jackson in Phoenix and his struggles, and De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento. You were hearing about Lonzo.
Magic also
played into it, too.
What did he say? Face of the franchise, his numbers.
Compared to him,
right? I mean, that's a tall order.
That shows Magic was clearly drinking the Kool-Aid of LaVar, too. He needs to chill with that. But the second thing is this. One thing that could keep the Lakers from trading Lonzo, what's his trade value? Because remember, he's not making a lot of money because he's on this rookie contract, relatively speaking. Secondly, what team wants him? Not because he can't play, but what team wants to deal with this madness that LaVar is bringing? So even if I'm not saying you can't trade him. You can, but there are a lot of teams that think, first of all, the kid is not going to be special as a player anyway. Secondly, a lot that are far less equipped to deal with this than the Lakers and Magic Johnson.
But I don't think they're anywhere close to thinking about trading Lonzo Ball. When you spend that amount of time, investment on a number 1 draft pick, you are tied to that pick for at least 3-4 years. Unless he is a complete bust. When I say I get it, his dad and all the antics and everything that he will do. That still is a distance between Lonzo and what he is on the basketball court and in the locker room, talking to his coaches, talking to other players, because they're not gonna always come out. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on, before you say this, the players that are currently on their roster, Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, all these guys, they're young. They're basically just getting their feet wet as well. So they're not going to say anything. But the new acquisition that just walked in the door, Isaiah Thomas, he's going to have something to say. And I think we will start to see what Lonzo Ball really is made of when Isaiah Thomas starts to push back and say things about LaVar Ball, because you better believe Isaiah, IT is not going to sit back and not say anything.
But you were talking about, because he was the 2nd overall pick and the top pick that the Lakers. It's not about being right. It's about getting it right. And at some point, if you don't believe it's right, regardless, if you're trying to really win and you realize we can't further this other than we're going to have the same exact scenario where we can't lure anybody. Magic said it.
That's the key.
It's about luring other guys to go with those young guys.
Do you think LeBron is going to put up with that stuff with LaVar?
I don't think he would want to. But listen, when we talk about all of this, but LeBron has endorsed Lonzo Ball as well.
Lonzo.
My point.
You don't have a problem with Lonzo, but if his dad is talking all this mess, there is no. I mean, look, I don't know for certainty, but I just don't see LeBron James join. We see how LeBron controls the Cleveland franchise. Making trades, essentially, getting guys moved, things like that. You don't think he would sit down with Magic Johnson and be like, come on, Magic, this is ridiculous.
Because the kid's not playing off the charts.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be different.
And his game, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves saying LeBron because we don't know if he's going there or not. But his game doesn't even complement LeBron's. Lonzo likes to, he's a point guard. He doesn't over-dribble, but he's best with the ball in his hands, and he's not much of a shooter.
Not a shooter, not much. He's not a shooter at all.
So that's another thing that would lead the Lakers to say, man, we're going to get rid of this kid.
I just don't see that happening. I mean, don't get me wrong. We are getting ahead of ourselves talking about LeBron and all this and luring him to LA. But if we just look at the pieces that they have currently, the shakeup in the room is Isaiah Thomas, because he's the guy that feels like I'm elite and I am the guy. And so he's already coming off the bench, and Lonzo is not even in uniform. So now you put him in uniform and his dad starts to chirp more, and Isaiah Thomas feeling like I'm better than this kid, and you have him in front of me, I'm going to say something. I'm going to blow this up. So I think that will create a rift, and that will create or provoke a conversation with Magic, Lonzo, and LaVar to make sure that, okay, we got to quiet some of this down, because Isaiah Thomas will be willing to say what the other younger guys aren't and haven't been willing to say.
No mercy.
Isaiah Thomas scored 22 points in his Lakers debut on Saturday and said that he felt like he got his powers back after getting out of Cleveland. Then on Sunday, Isaiah liked a video on Instagram that showed Kyrie scoring on LeBron. Yesterday, Isaiah was asked about his hip and seemed to take yet another shot at LeBron and the Cavs. Take a listen, see what you think.
I'm feeling good. I'm all right. I mean, I'm not 100%, but I'm getting there, and each and every day is a positive day for me. I mean, this is the first real practice I had all year. So, we'll see how my hip responds tomorrow with the soreness and things like that. But I'm here. I'm here, and I'm happy, and got my joy back, and I'm ready to put on a show for the Lakers.
All right, so you hear some of that. First real practice he's had all year. Rob, do you have a problem with Isaiah taking shots at the Cavs seemingly?
Are you ready, Chris? No way, no how. You knew that was coming.
I'm not surprised.
Hey, I don't have a problem with it from this standpoint. His whole world just got rocked. And let's be honest. He went from the toast of Boston, right, for a guy that they were going to have a big celebration and video and tribute. They didn't win a championship in Boston. That's how well he played, and everybody liked the guy and all that. He went from that to being traded for Kyrie Irving, right? When you get traded for a guy like that, you go, man, I got to be something special. Kyrie won a championship and is a big-time player in the league, so you're feeling good about who you are. And then you get hurt and all that, and then you come back. 15 games is all you played, and then you're a salary dump for a team like the Lakers, who, unlike the Cavs, aren't going to the finals, aren't making the playoffs, and probably you're looking for another home after this season because the Lakers just wanted your salary cap slot to be able to use, right? So I understand he should feel hurt. He should push back. It's only human nature when you're dumped and people say that you're no good anymore. What would be your reaction? I can't see him taking the high road from this only because those guys were dumped. And then they were talking about LeBron started it by saying, oh, it's great to have guys, right, who are willing to work. What does that mean? Was he there like on vacation? This was Club Med in the middle of Cleveland or something? No. So he's saying, what are you talking about? So he pushes back with, well, hey, it's the first practice I had all year because they don't practice, right? So how can you work hard if you're not practicing and trying to fit into the system? So I get it. He has the right to be upset, to be mad, to push back at LeBron because it's never LeBron's fault. We talked about it yesterday. It's always everybody else. LeBron loses, oh, he doesn't have any help. No matter what, the team could win 60 games during the regular season, number one seed, everything, they lose in the play. Oh, LeBron doesn't have help. What do you want LeBron to do? And this is what happened this year. He was made to be the scapegoat. That's what LeBron did when it came to Isaiah Thomas.
Hold on. He wasn't playing well either.
No, he wasn't.
He was shooting like 26% from three,
LeBron
38%
wasn't playing well
overall.
either. Was LeBron playing well?
He was playing much better than Isaiah.
For LeBron's standards.
By LeBron's standards, no.
Okay.
But he still was averaging 23.5 points on 50% shooting, 7 assists. I mean, come on. It's relative. But let me say this first of all. I was talking to somebody yesterday close to Isaiah, and they said he has absolutely no love at all for LeBron. Like, this is real. Like, he felt like LeBron kind of talked down to him when he was there and so on and so forth. And when Isaiah first got there, they actually were hanging out a little bit and it was cool, but it soured pretty quickly. So this is real. I understand your point. You're right. It's human nature for Isaiah to be upset. That doesn't mean you come out publicly and say it. Look, he's a man. If he wants to battle LeBron James and push back, that's his prerogative. That's fine. My thing is, for your career, for you on the free agent market this summer, this does not help your cause. You are not going to win a battle with LeBron James. Nobody in the league, even if you're right, because people know LeBron is high maintenance. Well, they know it's tough to play with him. Still, he is a 3-time champion.
I got you.
He is the best player in the world. Nobody's going to side with Isaiah on that.
Somebody took on LeBron and beat LeBron.
Kyrie Irving. If he beats him in May, he beat LeBron. Otherwise, he hasn't beat LeBron
But he
yet.
beat LeBron from the standpoint, he stood up and said, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Everybody in the NBA, I'm talking about media, they crushed Kyrie. You know they did after that trade.
Okay, but
right?
look.
And now who looks better when Cleveland burnt down and they had to trade everybody?
It looks good for Kyrie right now. Okay. It looks good for him, but he has to beat LeBron in the playoffs to win this trade, if you will. But you're also talking about a different caliber of player. I mean, Kyrie Irving and Isaiah Thomas are on different levels. And so, look, Isaiah, this shows when you're going to a team that needs leadership, they need veteran leadership, they need, you need to show them that you can fit in there or show some other team you can fit in. If you're still caught up in liking Instagram posts by Kyrie and battling with LeBron, that shows that your priority is on yourself and your perception and your pride and ego rather than on helping this team. And all I'm saying is, rightly or wrongly, that's not going to help Isaiah on the free agent market.
Okay. I agree with you somewhat, but no. This is I don't mind the pushback. I don't mind the pushback at all.
You push back on Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
This is a man who pushed back on Aaron Rodgers. Nobody had taken on Aaron Rodgers.
And you talk about your pride being in the way. Yes, your pride is definitely present, but you're not solely thinking just about yourself. You still want to win, but you still want to have the career that you were having in Boston. I was in Green Bay. I still felt like I could still do those different things. But when it comes to Isaiah Thomas, anytime you go in transition and it's not the transition that you wanted or you didn't call for it, you're going to praise the where you end up. When he got to Cleveland, he was excited, ecstatic, enthusiastic about this opportunity. Now he's in L.A., and now he's saying, man, I'm excited. I got my joy back. I can finally be me. I'm practicing for the first time. This is not the first time players have taken shots at the Cavaliers. When you look at Kyrie Irving, when he left, he didn't take a whole bunch of shots, but he said some things about the coaching style in that environment that led us to believe that, man, what is he really getting at? Kyrie made the statements of craving an intellectual coach. Why? Because probably they're not practicing. He can't take my game to the next level. When you practice, that's an extension of the classroom. That's where you make mistakes. That's where you can try things. Then you take the practice test. It still happens in the classroom. The game is the test. When you look at a guy who's coming off this injury, the number one thing he needed was practice. He wanted to practice. He wanted to get bumped.
But LeBron is too old for practice.
It's not. Oh, you got plenty of other guys.
No, but I'm just
you can get your work in.
Okay, but
you have to be able to. You have to be able to practice, especially when you've turned into a younger team. This is why I don't have any pushback or I don't mind the pushback, because even Jay Crowder, I mentioned this yesterday, Jay Crowder even talked about him being excited to play in the system. it's not just LeBron. It's Tyronn Lue and the structure that he's conformed. LeBron is the only one that really praises it, and then the guys who kind of follow suit, they're going to say, yeah, what he said.
But it's about, look, is Jay Crowder or Isaiah Thomas going to win this battle? No, it's not about. Ultimately, it's about winning. I get it. And man to man, if you want to step to LeBron at the All-Star weekend and be like, look, man, you came at me the wrong way. What you talking about? Work hard, whatever. But publicly, I don't think it helps a guy that's 5'8", coming off a hip injury, didn't play well in Cleveland. That's not going to help him get with another team.
Wait a minute, but Chris,
that's the number one thing that should be on his mind.
But you're different from this standpoint. We're all older. You're not a millennial. That's how they express themselves. That whole stuff is a part of their lives.
But guess who else aren't millennials?
No, but I'm just...
The people running these teams.
I understand that.
I'm trying to help Isaiah get a job and get a decent salary
but
next year.
that's not how these guys operate. They don't look at it that way because most of the time you would say, why would you go do that? Because that's how they operate. It's not the same.
Let me put this in perspective really quick. LeBron started this. Let's not forget LeBron. No. Wait. Because this touches me in a different place. Because when I left Green Bay, I didn't start all the banter. I didn't start this. Aaron started it. He said some things first, and then I took it on and went to a whole nother level and should have stopped. I should have. And this is what we're going to see.
But your pride got in the way.
Absolutely, 100%. Your pride gets in the way because you feel like you're being attacked and that you were the reason. When I look at Isaiah Thomas, he believes that he's very confident. We know that. So he doesn't believe that he's the reason why Cleveland was struggling. He doesn't believe that I wasn't willing to work.
But he's been blamed for it,
exactly.
And that's how he feels. Like, I'm the reason.
Because LeBron wasn't able to work with him. And so when you look at it, what other mega superstars does what LeBron does?
Nobody controls the league like LeBron.
None.
Or a franchise.
Did Jordan ever talk bad about his teammates, whether they stayed or left? Kobe.
He had fights with his teammates. Kobe had arguments with teammates.
But it was ball related. It was because I want the best for you. Steve Kerr and Jordan got into it. It was competition driven. It wasn't just.
Look, that's my point. A lot of superstars are not fun to play with. Jordan was darn near a bully in that locker room. And when he in Chicago, you know what everybody said? Yo, we on the gravy train. We riding this to championships. We rock stars. We'll take it. He did the same thing in Washington, and they, I hate to say hated him, but locker room was, they were against Jordan by the time he left.
What was it?
Because he was the same guy but couldn't win.
Right, but also it was younger guys, right, who hadn't seen that winning side of him, and they pushed back the way that they knew.
If Jordan could have led them to championships, they would have gotten in line too.
They couldn't even make the playoffs.
Isaiah Thomas, the original Bill Laimbeer. He gets in a fight with Bill Laimbeer. He's at odds with Adrian Dantley, who was a great player. That people think he got him traded out of Detroit.
Absolutely.
I mean, top Magic Johnson got Paul Westhead fired. Like, this stuff happens with superstars, and I'm telling you, Isaiah Thomas is not going to win this public battle in the front offices of the NBA, and those are the people that he needs to be catering to get his deal next summer.
All right, let's talk a little NFL, guys. In a story yesterday that we were divided on, it keeps evolving here. The Patriots fired back at Eagles offensive lineman Lane Johnson after he criticized New England's culture by calling the Patriot Way a fear-based organization. And he added that he'd rather have fun winning one Super Bowl than be miserable and win 5 Super Bowls. Yes, we discussed that yesterday. Now, former Patriot great Teddy Bruschi said that he had a lot of fun winning 3 Super Bowls, and current Patriot linebacker Marquise Flowers tweeted that Lane is full of hot air and 5 Super Bowls are more fun than 1. All right, I have several things here. 1, Flowers spent all day on Twitter firing back. Dude, find a hobby. 2, let's look bigger picture here. Greg.
But Flowers hasn't won a Super Bowl, right? Because he was on the team this year.
Y'all gonna kill Marquise.
He was hopeful. He was very hopeful.
Y'all gonna kill Marquise Flowers.
No, I'm just saying.
He came very close.
Dude, get off of Twitter when you don't even have a Super Bowl. What are you
He's a
talking about?
millennial. That's what they do.
He spent all day on there. All right, Flowers. Okay, Greg, here we go. Let's look bigger picture. The Eagles and Patriots are the early Super Bowl favorites for next year. So which team has a better chance to win it all, Philly or New England? I know this is a little premature, but let's look big picture.
Very premature. But when you look at the landscape of the NFL, the league, the Patriots have the better chance of returning to the Super Bowl. And Rob, I know you probably don't agree with that because
I don't agree.
Even if you did,
exactly, you would go the opposite side. But here's why: when you look at the Patriots' path to get there, they're in a division that they have dominated. They played the Bills twice. They played the Dolphins twice. They played the Jets twice.
That's the AFC least.
That's the,
but hey, that's what they're
I
in.
like that. The AFC least. The reason why the Patriots have been so successful is because they beat up on their guys in the division. And then their path from the end of December and all of January, they're at home for the playoffs, and you have to travel to Foxborough, and it's a tough task asking a young team or a talented team. It doesn't matter. Not too many teams are able to be successful going to Foxborough and dethroning the champs. When you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, do they have shots at dethroning them? Yes. But have they done it? No. And so until we can see a Baltimore Ravens team like with Ray Lewis and those guys take it to them in Foxborough, they have the easier path. When you look across the conference, the NFC, it's a lot more parity. When you look at the New Orleans Saints, could have easily beat the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings could have beat the Eagles. The Eagles have in their division a Dallas Cowboy team that probably will be a lot better this year.
Haven't won a championship.
I get all of that.
I
get all that. I mean, the Eagles just won their first one. Come on now. Let's not get too carried away. And then you have not only that, the Giants, they only need a few pieces and then they're back. But the road to getting there is a lot more challenging and difficult for the Eagles. Not saying that they don't have the talent, because they definitely have the talent to do it, but there are a lot more formidable teams in the NFC that will challenge them. The Carolina Panthers, these aren't teams that are going away. The Atlanta Falcons, teams are improving in the NFC. And when you look at their paths to getting there, their road is a lot more challenging and rocky than when you look across the conference in the AFC and look at what the New England Patriots have to go through to get to the AFC Championship game and then to the Super Bowl.
I hear you 100%. It all makes sense, but here's the difference. First of all, because I would pick the Eagles over the Patriots.
You would pick the Eagles over the Patriots just off of merit alone.
Anybody.
I'm going from this standpoint. You're still rocking with a which will be a 41-year-old quarterback. I'm just telling you.
You were saying a year ago that he was terrible in the first three quarters of the Super Bowl. He's done.
When did that ever come into to matter this year? His age.
In the Super Bowl, he couldn't hold on to the ball. That was
Rosie.
That was age-based. That was age-based. He couldn't hold on to the ball when he got hit.
Wow.
But also, they're an older team. The Patriots, I think, are the second oldest team as far as the NFL. And also, the other thing is, their defense, everybody was so shocked at what happened, but their defense was 24th last year. They gave up 42 points in game one and 41 in the Super Bowl. It reared its ugly head. That team defensively was still there and still an issue. When you talk about the Eagles, this is what makes them impressive to me. There's not many football teams that could lose their starting quarterback who was en route to winning an MVP, right? And when Carson Wentz got hurt. You lose your left tackle, your middle linebacker. Usually when that happens, you're done. They had the fourth best defense in the league, and we saw what they were able to do as far as offensively, scoring points, trick plays, everything that they do. Don't get me wrong. You're right. The path in the NFC is tougher. There's no doubt about it. More teams, better quarterbacks, no doubt. But the Eagles are definitely going to be somebody to be reckoned with, because now you get to go back to that quarterback who was having that MVP season. You know what I mean? And those other guys who were missing get to come back and be a part of it. So it's almost like you're adding to a team that just won a Super Bowl, with 3 good players who weren't around to help you win it.
Rob, I hear you, but the path
I get
is
the
everything.
path.
They are a great team, and they're constructed very well. I mean, we saw what they were able to overcome, all the adversities, all the injuries. We saw all of that. But when we talk, the question is, who has the better chance of getting back?
I'm not rocking with the 41-year-old quarterback who can't hold on
Who
to the
just
ball
threw for
anymore.
500 yards in the Super Bowl. Look, the question was, which team would you bet on winning another Super Bowl quickest, right?
Right, next.
I've got to
Getting back to the Super Bowl.
Getting back or winning it?
Getting back.
I'm thinking winning it, but getting back, whatever. I say New England. In fact, I'm saying they're going to win it next year.
There you are. You're a
Because they're
New
going to
England
come
homer.
back. They're going to come back upset that they didn't close the deal this year, just like they were upset about Deflategate, and get it done. And you talked about all the players the Eagles lost. Well, didn't Tom Brady lose Julian Edelman? Last year, didn't they lose Rob Gronkowski and won the Super Bowl? Teams do not repeat as Super Bowl champions anymore in the age of free agency. Most teams. Guess who does occasionally? The last team to repeat as a Super Bowl champion. Who?
I don't know.
New
The York
England
Jets?
Patriots. The last team to win 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. The New England Patriots. The last team to win 3 in 4 years. New England. They are a team that you cannot count out
You're talking
until
about the
Tom
early
Brady is
2000s?
when they won 3 out of 4. My point is, every year you can count on the New England Patriots of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady being there.
Chris, they went
Being
10
there.
years without winning a Super Bowl. And
Everybody else went decades
Okay, but
without
they
winning
went
Super
10
Bowl.
years, and the last 2 Super Bowls could easily have been lost.
And this one could have been a win. I mean, we can argue, we can, ifs, ands, or buts, we can argue that all we want. They could have won this year. I'm saying, look, Philadelphia, to your point, the NFC, that's going to be tough. Carson Wentz, how healthy is he going to be? You know, it's not easy for a quarterback to come off an ACL, not to mention his playing style makes him susceptible.
Was he balling
He was
before he
great.
got
He was
hurt?
going to be the MVP. But he's susceptible maybe to another injury. Maybe he's going to be conscious of changing his style a little bit, and that could throw him off a little bit. What if they lose a few games? Does there become a quarterback controversy, at least with the fans, if not the organization? So there are a lot of things that I think will keep them from winning it.
The NFC alone, it's going to be difficult. We haven't had a returning Super Bowl contender out of the NFC since I don't even know when. Like to get there 2 years in a row. Like it's that hard in that conference. When you talk about injuries, Green Bay Packers didn't have an Aaron Rodgers. So you got Aaron Rodgers coming back. You got in your own division, you got Odell. The Giants were riddled with injury after injury after injury. And so you have all these players.
But they still have Eli Manning.
They still have who won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, past tense. Those days
I mean,
are over.
but no. You can't just throw out what someone has done. He's still an affordable quarterback.
Have you seen his
a
last
formidable
7
quarterback.
years, the last of his numbers?
I have.
And they're bad.
I totally have. I have, but he can still get it done because of the talent that he has outside on the perimeter. My point is, the NFC is so difficult to maneuver and to get through, to get back even to the NFC Championship game, let alone get to the Super Bowl and win it all. The Patriots' path, I get it. I'm an Eagles fan. I chose them to win this Super Bowl. But when we're not talking about the talent on teams and the age of the teams. They're constructed very well. But when you have a Robert Kraft and a Bill Belichick, who has run an organization and has put the personnel in place year after year after year, you're telling me that other teams has a better opportunity to now get there and win it all?
Yep. Let me tell you, Rome fell, New England fell in this past Super Bowl. Things changed at some point, and Bill Belichick isn't that emperor anymore that he was.
Really?
That's his specialty is defense. Bill Belichick defense gave up 41 points to a backup quarterback and lost the Super Bowl, and I'm supposed to sit here and go, oh, yeah, Bill Belichick and the Patriots are going to be back next year with a 41-year-old quarterback who can't hold on to the ball late in games anymore. I'm looking at this. They are not the same team. I know it's easy to pick them because nobody wants to respect the Jacksonville Jaguars, who led 20-10.
That's not
going
true.
into the fourth quarter. People don't want to respect those teams.
It's looking at the Patriots' track record.
Exactly. Until you
can't make
dethrone
the
them,
case against
you can't go against them.
I love how you're so quick to discount everything. You're so hard to please.
Didn't you ever hear of the discount double check?
No mercy.
Back in on Undisputed, Baker Mayfield is projected to be a high first-round pick in the NFL draft. However, he's being compared to Johnny Manziel for on and off the field issues. Now, last month, Mayfield said he saw people trying to portray him, quote, as a bad boy, the Johnny Manziel stuff. But Manziel talked about Mayfield yesterday. Here's Johnny.
We're completely different people. You know, we have a similar background. We're both from Texas. We're both Texas high school football, but he's not me and I'm not him. The way my wires are in my head and the way that I'm built and my makeup is completely different than Baker. Baker's fiery as hell. He gets a little amped up on the sidelines. Like, once you're on the football field and you do some things that are a little outlandish, like, guys do that all the time. Like, was it maybe a little bit too much? Sure. But at the end of the day, the guy made a mistake. He paid his dues, and I think he'll be better off because of it, and he'll learn from that. But I have all the faith in the world in him. I think he's going to be a really good player. And if anything, people can compare him to me, but he can learn from what I did wrong. He can try and take something that I did and make it a positive for him and learn from it.
All right, so there's Johnny. Greg, many ways to go with this blanket statement here. Do you think that Baker will be successful in the NFL?
Holly, if I could answer that question, I would have a lot of general managers calling me, asking me to
wouldn't be
advise.
sitting here.
Absolutely not. To advise them on every draft pick. It's yet to be seen. And so with saying that, you draw comparisons. That's the first thing you do. When you don't know, you start to draw comparisons and see, okay, who is he like, who is he not like. Because of his size, automatically, current players in the league, he's going to draw comparisons to or be compared to a Drew Brees, the likes of a Drew Brees or a Russell Wilson, because of size alone. Mm-hmm. In terms of his ability, we know he's not Drew Brees. We know he's not quite Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a really, really good football player that can extend plays, but he's very accurate with the football as well. Comparing him to Johnny Manziel, I can see why people compare him to Johnny Manziel, and I could make the comparison as well because they're similar in size, even their appearance, the way they play the game. They are run-first type of a quarterback, very fiery when they make plays and when their team is having success. Baker Mayfield is a much better thrower of the football. Some of his strengths, he's better instinctively when it comes to his ability to be more accurate. He's a lot more accurate than what I think a lot of people give him credit for. And he has a good enough arm to where he can make every single throw on the football field. But his weaknesses are what stand out to me because he's a mixed bag when you look at strengths and weaknesses. He's undersized, obviously. Some of the decisions that he's made on the field and off the field is poor, so you question his maturity. He's inconsistent when he is outside the pocket of throwing the ball down the field. But having said all of that, he's a playmaker. And so you have to see in-game experiences and in-game situations to make that judgment call to where we can say, is he going to be successful? Is he not? I can tell you who I would compare him to. The 49ers had a quarterback, Jeff Garcia.
Remember him well.
Really decent career. Not a great career, but in his good years, he was really good. Very effective.
For the Lions. He played
Absolutely.
For the Eagles, right?
Tough guy. Could run, very athletic. Baker Mayfield, a lot more athletic than even Jeff Garcia. He has a better arm than Jeff Garcia. So I think there is an upside there. I think he has to calm down on some of the antics. I don't want him to lose it, because when you talk about a leader, a quarterback, you want them to be fiery. You want them to be controlled fiery, though. You don't want them to show that they're uncontrollable with their emotions. So I think that's something he's going to have to hone in on and focus in on. But as far as playing football, the kid can flat out play. He can flat out play. But college defense and schemes are a lot different than when you're playing in the NFL and you're going against a professional defense, fast flow defensive lines, linebacker levels, and secondary that has more than one good defender on your number one guy. Everybody back there can make plays. So his decision making and all of those things are going to be questioned out the gate, because in college, you can scramble, somebody's going to be free, the defense is going to break down, and you're going to make plays if you're an elite athlete. And that's what he's been able to do. So it's yet to be seen. My hope is that he is successful. We'll see.
Like you said, look, we never know. It's so hard to tell with quarterbacks. But if I had to pick the three you did initially, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Johnny Manziel, I hate to say it, but I'd say he's going to be closer to Johnny Manziel. Not off the field stuff. Manziel derailed himself with his off-the-field stuff. On the field, he looked okay, pretty good at times. But I see Mayfield being... Mayfield, we know they're all short. I don't think Mayfield has the arm that Drew had. I mean, there's been talk recently about Drew's arm strength. Is it the same? But it was strong earlier. And I think Mayfield's arm, he's accurate. He can place the ball. I don't think he's that strong-armed, though. And then you look at Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, one of his greatest attributes is maturity, leadership. Mayfield was a leader in Oklahoma, I guess, but he doesn't have the maturity that a Russell Wilson had. And Russell Wilson scrambles and can make plays. Wilson run a 4.5 40. They're estimating that Baker Mayfield will run anywhere from 4.7 to 4.9. I don't know with that. I'm not saying you have to be a burner at the quarterback, but is he even going to be able to scramble and make those plays in the NFL that he made in college? And finally, here's the thing. You mentioned the defenses in college versus the NFL. How about the defenses? Let's take it a step further. In the Big 12, where they play no defense, there have been – who is the last really good quarterback to come out of the Big 12? I mean, the only two that have made Pro Bowls recently are Vince Young and RG3, who were bust. Here's some of the other high draft picks who've come out of the Big 12 as quarterbacks. Bryce Petty, Geno Smith, Landry Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Brandon Weedham, Blaine Gabbert, Sam Bradford, Colt McCoy, Josh Freeman. All very good college quarterbacks in the weak defensive Big 12. In the NFL, couldn't do a thing. And so I would bet against him being really highly successful in the NFL.
Yep, I agree with both you guys that it's so hard to project guys, especially when they're not the prototypical quarterbacks that NFL guys look for. The GMs just look for a size and a height, and you know what I mean? Those are the guys that they normally pick. But I can remember the Drew Brees draft very vividly. I was on the radio back then in Detroit, and I remember I wanted the Lions to take him. If you remember, I think he was the first pick in the second round. Mm-hmm. He wasn't even people passed on him strictly because he wasn't tall enough. Yep. Not because he couldn't play or he didn't have a good college career.
He had a great career.
He did. And people passed on him out of Purdue. And I remember saying, wow. But Baker Mayfield, in looking up some stuff, his numbers stack up with Russell Wilson as far as college. So it's not like they're off the charts. If you really go look at
his numbers
are really, really good. Mm-hmm. But I think general managers have to be careful because I think we saw that with Deshaun Watson. I'm not saying they're the same player. But people discounted what he did in college, you know, like, and sometimes you got to look at guys and say, well, what did he do? Is he a winner? Does he make things happen? Do you know what I mean? And take a chance. The intangibles, not just the strictly, he doesn't fit our size, he's a little guy, he's not going to be Drew Brees, and you kind of not take him seriously or that he can't make plays. So I understand when people look and say he's not going to be a star in the NFL. I get that. I'm not going to bet against him. I'm going to say he's going to be better than Johnny Manziel. And it all depends.
He should be.
I mean, that's not saying a
Yeah,
whole
exactly.
lot.
No. But I'm saying
if he stays in the league, he'll be better than Johnny Manziel.
There's no doubt about it. But I mean, it also depends on where you wind up. You know what I mean? And the situation you're in. But I think he could have a really good career in the NFL.
Yeah, you talked about some of the quarterbacks that were in the Big 12. I think the issue with a lot of these college quarterbacks, specifically in the Big 12, is the spread offenses. When you get to the NFL, you can run spread, but you are going to have to play under center.
Yes.
Footwork becomes paramount.
His footwork
and timing becomes paramount under center. That's where these guys struggle and tend to have the setbacks when you ask them to go from that comfort zone of that spread offense, seeing the field like that. You get underneath that center. Now your footwork has to time up with these routes and everything else. It is a huge overlooked point of emphasis that a lot of fans probably never pay attention to. But when you're looking at drafting a quarterback high, footwork is important. And that's one thing that Baker Mayfield does not have great.
Who was the best quarterback you ever played with?
Woo! I had a couple, I had one is a Hall of Famer, one is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. So, I mean, you can flip a coin.
No, I want you to make a pick.
Best quarterback I ever played with, yeah. I tip the hat to Aaron. Aaron, just because of the decision making.
I'm just curious.
I mean,
You knew that.
But that's neither here nor there, right?
But you hit it on the head. His footwork is not good, and that's a tough adjustment. That's a great point.
You mentioned Deshaun Watson. I'm sold on him right now.
But a lot of people weren't, though,
You're
coming
right.
out of college. That's all I'm saying is like.
But he also had
But he has-
leadership, intangibles,
And
beyond
size,
just on the
like
field.
he fit the mold of what you're looking for as an NFL quarterback. Size matters. I mean, you mentioned it about Drew Brees. You gotta be able to throw over those defensive linemen.
No mercy.
Back in on Undisputed, and we're joined by one of the top featherweight fighters in the UFC, Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy is headlining UFC Fight Night on Fox against Josh Emmett on February 24th in Orlando. Jeremy, welcome to Undisputed. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
We're so happy to have you here. What should we expect in this fight?
You should expect fireworks. You're two of the top featherweights in the world, very hard hitters. This guy's a competitive wrestler. I imagine once we get in there, we start mixing things up. He's going to turn into that competitive wrestler, start ankle diving, and we got some answers for him down there.
Now, you've knocked out a lot of people. I think 17 of your 26 wins via knockout. Are you mainly a striker, or do you like getting guys on the ground and grappling, or what?
In this game, you got to be well-rounded. There's a lot of young, hungry kids coming up. You have to be willing to adapt, make changes, and evolve. If you stay the same person, if I would have stayed the same person as I was when I was 21, I'd probably be long out the game, So you guys play sports. You have to evolve with the sports. You always got to be working to get better, improving anything and everything you can to make your game all around. But I like to knock people out, But there's many ways that I like to keep it up on the feet. But I'm well-rounded as well. I come from Iowa. I can wrestle. I can do a ground game. But mainly, they pay me more to knock people out.
How do you've lost a few matches, and this is a sport where people lose, in MMA. When a guy loses a fight, how do you bounce back from that mentally? Because a lot of people would, be scared to go in the next fight, and we've seen people that it has wrecked. Mm-hmm. So how do you bounce back knowing you got beat or maybe even knocked out in a certain fight?
Just go back to really realize what my true values are in life, what's really important to me. And, I've been competing for my whole life. I know how to take a loss and just shake it off, go back and pick it apart, learn from it, grow from it, become a better person from it, and just learn and evolve. Like I said, if you don't, you got to be willing to make changes and adapt. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to last very long in the sport. And I feel like that's one thing that I've done is been able to take a loss, learn from it, move on, and come back sharper and better.
You're at the same weight, 145, that Conor McGregor fought at. He moved up a little bit, I think. But Would you like to fight him? Is that somebody that you've been pointing to get into the octagon with him?
Yeah, a lot of people say, the money fights, I feel like if you just fight, you're gonna make money and you're gonna build that brand. The thing that I see with Conor is just our styles. He likes to knock people out. I like to knock people out. We're both very good stand-up fighters. We're both well ranked, and we're two savages. I feel like if we were to mix it up, it'd be an amazing fight. And I feel like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you wouldn't mind Conor's payday, dude, would you?
Oh no,
Not bad.
he's making great pay, and it's really changing the sport. He's a very good characteristic person. And he backs it up. So I give him that
one way
respect.
to get him in the ring is when you talk a lot of trash to him. So if you want to say something to get him in the octagon with you.
I took a picture with his mom a while back. That's all TMZ. So I think we got
you
it.
really want you want
That'll work.
Look, it's a lot of talk about, obviously he fought Floyd Mayweather in boxing.
Right.
Now Floyd is, trolling him, suggesting with
Yes.
tweets that he wants to get in the octagon.
Yeah, we have all this. We have a bunch of, a couple, I think we have some video of it, or actually we have just a couple things to show. We want to get your thoughts on this, obviously. Mayweather, as Chris said, he's been dropping some hints that he may want to fight in an octagon. Last month he posted a shot of himself actually stepping into an octagon. You're looking at it now. Then on Sunday, Floyd took it to the next level by showing an image of himself on social media hitting Conor McGregor in an octagon with a caption, certified killer versus certified, you get it, starts with a B, ends with an H. I'm not allowed to say it. Jeremy, are you buying Floyd fighting Conor in an octagon? Could this ever actually happen?
I do, and Floyd Mayweather, because he makes the rules. He is the true money fight. He's, in boxing, he makes his own specific set of rules of gloves. I could see him doing that if he was able to be like, all right, no takedowns, boxing only.
Or it basically be like another
A
boxing
match in the octagon.
Yeah, basically it would be, because if Floyd Mayweather took a kick or anything like that, he's older. He is the best in boxing, hands down. I feel like that guy has one of the greatest mindsets. You can learn a lot from him. A lot of people think he's cocky, but if you really go and look at the tape, that dude is smart, and he's really good at playing the dumb guy. If he goes to MMA, I feel like it'd have to be under his rules and regulations for sure.
So what, throwing out it's under his rules, how do you think he would handle being in the octagon? No Floyd Mayweather rules, just straight up fight octagon style MMA rules.
You'd see Floyd on the canvas for sure. I guarantee you'd see Floyd Mayweather knocked out.
Really?
Yeah.
You think
Mixed martial arts totally different. Totally different.
So what would be the down? I mean, I was wondering, I think he'd get beat too. But I would think it would be Conor getting him on the ground, maybe the kicks, a back kick or whatever, kicks to the legs and the shins that wear Floyd out. You think Conor would knock him out with punches?
I think it'd be kicks. I don't think Conor would even take him down. I think kicks would really change the game up for him. And I mean, I've seen boxers come in and they don't know how to react to a kick. It's different than a punch. You don't see it. Like, I can throw a punch and disguise it with a kick. And I feel like that would be the big difference, would be the kicking game, because Conor's got stand-up. He can box, he was proven. I feel like Mayweather did carry the fight a little bit, but it's a whole nother ball game when you're in there with little gloves and you're throwing kicks and knees at somebody's head. And Mayweather's never seen that.
That's why I think that all what Floyd doing is just showmanship. This is just Floyd being Floyd, because if we all know what's important to Floyd, and that's making money first, and then that one column that has no numbers on it, that L column, that means everything to Floyd Mayweather, whether it's in a boxing ring or in an octagon. He is not willing to get an L listed on his resume. That's not who he is. And that's why I don't think that this is something that we should even really entertain so much. And Floyd, I mean, don't get me wrong, if it's his rules, maybe. I still don't think he gets into an octagon, but
I don't think he wants to get beat up and have that video around. Seriously, you're getting kicked around and whatnot. I think he doesn't want that. I can't see him agreeing to regular MMA rules.
It's like when we went at it, you don't want that video to be shown.
No.
Like when I do that punch and kick at the same time, like Jeremy's talking about. I don't even know how that's possible. Jeremy, we're really looking forward to it, though.
Awesome. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being on. All right, make sure to
Get
watch.
in the octagon after we do.
I'm actually a fan, my man. I want to keep you
He'll take it easy on you.
Let's take a picture with your mom.
I wouldn't really want to. I would get in the octagon to take a photo. Exactly.
All right, make sure to watch Jeremy headline UFC Fight Night, February 24th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Jeremy, good luck. Thanks for joining us.
No mercy.
The Warriors blew out the Suns last night, but the bigger story was on the bench. Steve Kerr let Andre Iguodala, David West, and Draymond Green draw up plays during timeouts. He was letting them coach. So after the game, Kerr said it's the players' team and added, quote, "I don't feel that we focused well at all the last month, and it just seemed like the right thing to do." Now, guys, quickly here, Willie McGinnis said that this happened to him when he was a player, but was this disrespectful, in your opinion, for Steve Kerr to allow his team to do this?
No.
I think it was.
No. Go ahead.
You say
No, I think it was. I mean, what were they playing? The Washington Generals? And Steve Kerr was too
Right.
busy with the bucket of confetti that he's going to let the players. Come on. Now, Steve, if Steve's going to do this in Game 7 of the NBA Finals and let the players draw up plays since it's a players' league, that wouldn't happen.
Stop it.
So I'm not buying it.
Look, I don't like when professional athletes who are being paid, who this is their job, complain about being disrespected during the game. It's one thing off the field, off the court, whatever. I'm talking about getting dunked on. I'm talking about guys scoring layups in a blowout. I'm talking about, letting the players coach or running up the score. If you're a professional, you're paid to do this. If you don't like it, stop them. If you don't like that Steve Kerr let his players coach, then beat them. Instead, they got beat by 50.
I don't think this has anything to do with any of those things. I think this was Steve Kerr's way of making sure his guys stay engaged. This gives them an opportunity. A lot of players end up wanting to get into coaching. This gives them an opportunity. It's not trying to be disrespectful.
Do that in the preseason.
No.
Don't do that during the regular season. I came to the game.
Draymond
Steve
Green
Kerr
wasn't
gets-
even dressed.
Steve
So
Kerr
I
gets
keep
paid
them
to do
engaged.
what? Coach?
Absolutely.
No, but he didn't coach yesterday.
There are times when players,
Dippin' dots.
even when the head coach is actually coaching, but he'll let a player draw up a play, or he'll let a player make a decision in the huddle. That's all.
I love it.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back again tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports, one of one.